Hello everyone and welcome for today's Asian Virtual Conference on Multidisciplinary Research. I am Lady Lee H. Australia, presenter of Teachers' Plights on the Spiral Progression Approach in Mathematics. The performance of Filipino students according to Department of Education has been declining in the past years. That is why it triggers them to revisit the curriculum and change it to the spiral progression approach. This was also seen in the study conducted by Program for International Student Assessment or PISA, wherein Philippines ranked low in mathematics with 353 points against a 489 OECD average for math and science categories. Spiral progression approach means the basic principles are introduced in the first grade and are rediscovered in the succeeding grades in more complex forms. With this approach, concepts are introduced at an early age and retaught in succeeding years in an increasingly sophisticated fashion. According to the JOS, the spiral progression approach in mathematics has been suitable to the learning performance of the students, as it is already introduced at an early grade and reintroduced in the succeeding grade. On the contrary, Snyder said that introducing of new topics in the spiral progression approach are either too slow or too fast, resulting to difficulty in mastering the subject matter, and the slow learners are greatly affected by this pace. The spiral progression approach poses several reported plights to the part of the teachers, such as difficulty preparing the lesson plan, insufficient subject matter knowledge, and trainings on the said approach. This also affects the students in terms of content overload, wherein they are bombarded by introducing new topics. Aside from that, they have low level of readiness in the said approach. For our studies, our methods and materials are: we use phenomenological design approach to qualitative research that focuses on the commonality of live experiences of the teacher participants, wherein our participants in this study are the junior high school mathematics teachers of Cavite National High School. We use the purposive sampling, a form of non-probability sampling, in which we rely on our own judgment in choosing members of the population to participate in our study. We also use questionnaire and semi-structured interview with audio recording as a technological support. We also use the thematic coding to analyze the commonality of the participants' response to the interview. And also, we use the frequency count percentage to analyze the demographic profile of the participants. In this study, out of 20 participants, most of them are female teachers with a frequency of 7 or 35%. And most of them took up Bachelor of Secondary Education major in mathematics with a frequency of 18 or 90%. Most of them are experienced teachers who have at least 40-15 years with a frequency of 11 or 55%. Majority of them are teacher 3 and teaching in grade 7 with a frequency of 7 or 35%. And majority had experience teaching the old curriculum with a frequency of 16 or 80%. The teacher participants experienced difficulty in adjusting to the new content of the mathematics. The learning competencies in the spiral progression approach were also congested in every grade level. There is also discontinuity of the topics because of the specific content that the teachers need to be taught in every quarter. Most of the teachers have insufficient trainings and seminars as the school sends those in high rank. Other teachers have a fewer privilege to attend trainings and seminars regarding spiral progression approach. As to comparison of students now and then, students who experience the old curriculum has a higher retention rates, more focus on study habits, and a better academic performance. Students now have lower retention rates and have no mastery of the subject matter after the implementation of the spiral progression approach in mathematics. On the teachers' views of spiral progression approach, most of the teachers claimed that the approach failed to affect successful teaching and learning process. With regards to the sudden change on the approaches in articulating the content of different subject areas such as mathematics, these are the suggestions of the mathematics teachers. Focus on one discipline, strengthen the fundamental skills, decongest the content, and use only the most essential learning competencies. Based on the summary and findings, the following conclusions were drawn. Spiral progression approach in mathematics poses problems and challenges to the teachers in terms of mastery of the subject matter, curriculum content, and professional development such as trainings and seminars. For our recommendation, in order to address the gaps in teaching mathematics using the spiral progression approach, teachers should take initiative on how to improve their methods and techniques for effective teaching and learning process. It has also great impact on the learning process wherein retention rates of the students is low due to congested learning competencies based on the curriculum guide. The gaps on the different provisions of spiral progression approach in mathematics could be addressed through the school heads directing the concerns to the proper authorities. And lastly, the lack of continuity and interrelatedness of the previous topic to the succeeding lesson results to low academic performance. And the recommendation, the gaps on the different provisions of spiral progression approach in mathematics could be addressed through the school heads directing the concerns to the proper authorities. The following are the references of our study. And this is the end of our presentation. Thank you everyone and have a good day.